Expect salary increase soon, Ngige tells public servants. Labour Party names Akin Oshutonkum as new Presidential Campaign Council DG. Again, G5 governors head to the United Kingdom for another strategic meeting. Also tonight on Politics HQ, South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa files court papers to stop Zuma's private prosecution bid. Somali president decries high rate of ghost workers in the country's civil service. I'm Sulaiman Aledeh. Tonight, Ken Okolugbo, political analyst, and Ezekiel Inya-Etok, African Democratic Congress governorship candidate in Akwa Ibom State, join me to speak on politics in Nigeria and, of course, how the 2023 election may pan out. Stay with us. Well, the race to Akwa Ibom's governorship seat is getting hotter as Governor Udom Emmanuel faces his last weeks in office. Now, the 2023 governorship elections are expected to come with the issues that define Akwa Ibom politics. One of Nigeria's oil-producing states, it has many areas of growth and more than ever, a leader who can take the state to the next level of development should be the focus. In another vein, there is the presidential race to fight for, and the candidates are making a final push for the most prominent office in Africa's most populous nation. From Bola Tinubu and his Muslim candidacy in the APC to Atiku Abubakar's challenge with the elephants in the PDP room, the G5 alliance to Peter Obi, the 2023 elections is indeed a clash of gladiators. Now, the NNPP also presents Rabiu Musa Konkonso, his experience and Konkonsia foot soldiers, and some of the conversations we'll be having. There are many interests in Nigeria, but only one person will emerge as president. Well, it's a tough run and a battle the whole of Africa looks to see. The countdown has started and the gladiators are preparing their weapons for the battle ahead. Joining me in the studio is Ken Okolugbo. He's a political analyst and he joins me live. Ken, good to see you and thanks for your time.
It's good to see you.
You know,
thank you for having me on this program. My first time on this program.
Yes, oh, that's true. The first time you're here live, and well, you've been making some political rounds around southern Nigeria, specifically Delta State. But before we come to Delta State, let's talk about the political climate in Nigeria. I recall then when you left the PDP, you spoke, eloquently about the need for southern Nigeria to present the next president. And at that point in time, Kasim Afwegwa, who calls himself a Tinubu supporter, but not a member of the APC, also spoke in that light. So do you still think that the southern push, as we've seen some big support from some northern elements, is something that Nigeria is still pursuing?
Yeah, I think that's one thing I keep saying. I wouldn't shy away from saying that my former party made a very big mistake in not feeling the pulse of the time. For those of us that participated very deeply in the politics of the PDP, I've been a spokesperson of the party in many occasions for different state governmental elections. I have participated in the Presidential Campaign Council, as you would know. At that point in time, knowing fully well that the APC was watching the PDP because the PDP had their convention first, they should have taken the bull by the horn because the issue of the southern candidacy was very germane. It was germane in the sense that if you look at it, the MPTOB had bought his ticket. Rabiu Kwakwansu had left the party. For me, I think Rabiu Kwakwansu asking to run, he didn't go down well with some of us then in the PDP because we saw it as a slap on the face because he's from the Northwest and Buhari is from the Northwest. So for those that brought up the theory of saying that, Buhari, it's APC, he's done 8 years. If you go to the PDP, Jonathan did 5 years, Obasanjo did 8 years, which is 13 years, and Yar'Adua barely did 3 years. And so if you look at it in the PDP, the Southerners had dominated the presidency, and I think that Buhari's presidency did count. I told him that theory was completely wrong, because for me, Buhari was the president, is president of Nigeria, not president of the APC. Yes, as at that time when we were in the PDP, the party didn't envisage was going to lose power. So when he came with the principle of rotation, they didn't think that there would be a time when a Buhari would come on board. But they should have taken cognizance of that fact. Because for me, if you're not going to support a Wike, there was an Udom who was on the race. There was also, if you say you're not going to support Udom, there could have been Peter Obi who was in the race. I once asked my governor why he didn't take the bull by the horn by running for the seat also. But wait, because that was where they had the Asaba Accord. But now the party has moved on.
I'll let you land, but again, let's not forget the Asaba Accord. So I'll let you land on this.
Yes, because that's where the Asaba Accord took place. And it's easy for you to trade out there now that you have an Atiku Abubakar who is the presidential candidate of the PDP. Yes, Atiku Abubakar, he's being called the unifier. But you see, the same factors that tore the party apart, that made Jonathan lose his election, is exactly what is playing. The G5 governors, what are they pushing? They're pushing that Ayi should resign. 5 governors are obviously dissatisfied that the presidency didn't come to the South. That's the bottom line of the truth of what is going on here. This was the same reason Atiku Abubakar, the likes of Saraki and others, stormed out of the convention and went to the Yar'Adua Center in 2014 to hold their own meeting that they called the new PDP, the NPDP. Why was the NPDP founded? They felt that Jonathan should not have been going for a second tenure, because that tenure was meant for Yar'Adua. And Jonathan had not only completed Yar'Adua's first tenure, he went on to win the elections in 2011. And I remember I was very involved in that campaign council. And one of the things that was mooted, and I won't lie to you, was that Jonathan would do only one tenure after he had completed Yar'Adua's tenure. So by the time he was running again, the likes of Saraki and the likes of Atiku thought he was breaking the agreement. And that's why you saw that Wike was able to open up that when he got to London to negotiate with Atiku, they asked him to give up the ticket. But having said that, I'm looking at it from a position of an analyst now, not being a member of the PDP anymore. I must say that the PDP should have been able to understand that the feelings that are now in Nigeria is that powers should have moved to the South. But if you look at the economy of the country again, people are going through so much. So maybe they actually felt the pains and the pangs of hunger that people are feeling. They won't be looking at whether you're from the North or whether you're from the South. But again, this is Nigeria. Politics of religion, politics of ethnicity, you can't wish it away. It's been a force.
You know, on the HQ, I had conversation, an exclusive chat with the governor of Taraba State, Abdullahi Sula, and he spoke about what you just highlighted, that there was need for the presidency to come to the South. And at that point,
the Taraba governor.
So at that point, I mean, Nasarawa State governor.
Okay.
Yes,
all right. So I thought you said the Taraba governor.
My bad. So at that point in time, they felt that there was a move that was almost going to take that from the APC and move it back to the North. And they all came together, moved to the president and said, Mr. President, we think we have a list of candidates that we should pick from southern Nigeria.
Yes.
Now, I'm trying to look at some of the key concerns you've raised, because it looks like deja vu for the PDP.
That's what it is, deja vu.
And how is it so difficult for some of the politicians who were a part of NPDP, for instance, as we've seen Governor Tambuwal,
Saraki,
Bukola Saraki, now it's on their own plate. They seem not to understand that there was a time that they also, moved out from the PDP on account of what Wike and the other 4 governors are pursuing.
Are fighting for now. That's the truth. They say politics is, a lot of politicians are very selfish. I like the analysis you made. It was like, there's a political forum I belong to, the Ndokwa Political Forum, and we just had this talk. It was as if you were a part of that forum. And I was pointing out to one of the members of the forum that the APC governors took the bull by the horn. The northern governors, as far as I was concerned, stopped the coup. I saw it as a coup of trying to foist the Senate president as the presidential candidate of the APC. The northern governors should be given that credit. I think the northern governors of the APC, which is more than the southern governors of APC, could take the bull by the horn to stop that coup of foisting the Senate president. I don't know why the PDP should not have done the same in their own case, because the PDP is losing its chance of taking over power again.
But again, that brings us quickly.
The economy of the country is at its ebb.
And
the APC government has failed in so many aspects. And so this is the time for the PDP to take the advantage of the failures of the APC government to win this election.
We'll talk about the performance and how that may affect the candidate of the APC in this election. But again, that brings us to the Asaba Accord. If you say that the leaders of the party would have been able to do the, replicate or in fact lead, show the APC the example to say, this is the way to go. We're looking towards southern Nigeria. And there was a meeting in your own home state. Your governor actually was the host of that meeting. And that is why, till date, some politicians still think that he actually is the betrayer of not making the southern Nigeria get the ticket from the PDP. So what's the reading now, speaking as a political scientist, when you have a meeting, pulling resources, ideas together, having a melting point, saying that this is the way to go. And the arrowhead or the convener or the host of the meeting, ultimately turns around the other way. So how has this helped in pushing for an agenda of the G5, saying that, look, we must be listened to, if at all this ticket has already gone to the north, but the chairmanship of our party shouldn't also remain in the north?
Yes, you've made a very good point, because the Asaba Accord was one that was taken by the APC southern governors and the PDP southern governors. And it seems to be that the APC southern governors kept to the accord, and it is the PDP southern governors that were not united. Udom ran, Wike ran, that left you with Obaseki, who was not going to run, and my governor, Okowa. Don't forget that Ayade had already moved to the APC. And so what was the situation? Doyediri was the first time, and nobody was expecting Doyediri to run. Yes, to run for the election. Now, there was a disconnect between Doyediri, Okowa, and Wike. Udom is running. People saw that Udom was running to weaken Wike's chance. And the disconnect between Doyediri and Okowa and Wike what has caused the South the problem of not having the presidential candidate come to the South. If Wike was also able to bridge that gap, I must also put a bit of the blame on Wike, because he would look at it that Okowa was not running. Okowa is the chairman of the Southern Governors Forum. So it behaved on Wike to be able to have lobbied Okowa enough to have been able to get Okowa to reason why he should either be him or Udom he should support going into the convention. So if Wike was not able to carry Okowa along, and people will say, okay, Okowa did not see reason to support the South. That is why he's been termed the betrayer, so to say, by the Southern, especially the Southern political leaders like Papa Clark and co. And it's difficult for him now to remove that tag, because he now became a beneficiary of the candidacy of Atiku Abubakar. Maybe if he didn't become the vice president, yes, he didn't choose himself as a vice president, don't forget that. The choice of vice president did come...
No, vice president.
Candidate, sorry. I'm already making him the vice president, yes. Vice presidential candidate. He didn't choose himself as the vice presidential candidate. The choice came from Abubakar. But the case is that he should never have been the direct beneficiary of the same product of the northern presidential candidate that the South did not want. Now, this is a basic issue. The G5 now comes to say, look, we want IU out. If you look at it again, Atiku is thinking that he doesn't want thunder to strike twice. He also understands what they did in the NPDP to weaken Jonathan's chance. It was the movement of those governors that cost Jonathan his second tenure. But I also think that with the experience that Atiku will have, at this point in time, he should have been able to rule the G5 governors, because the the presidential primaries have come and gone. Whether you like it or not, we're only talking about what should have happened. The reality today is that Atiku is the presidential candidate of the PDP, and Okowa is the vice presidential candidate of the PDP. So if the PDP must win those elections, they must face the reality of the fact that that is all in the past now. And they must try to
now you're getting there.
Yes, they must try
to because there is a ghost. There is a ghost.
Yes.
There is a ghost of that primaries.
Yes,
and the
ghost
is
still haunting the PDP.
Haunting them.
I understand where you're coming from. It's still haunting the PDP. Yes, but you see, that is where sacrifices should be made. If you look at it, for example, the secretary of the PDP, Senator Tenure, they call him Sam Daddy, was more of a product of Governor Wike. And IU was also supposed to be a product of Governor Wike because Autumn brought IU. And so it wasn't like it was Atiku that produced IU. Now, if you look at what is happening in the PDP, Atiku, Tambuwa, who is the DG of Atiku's campaign, and Saraki, who is one of his special advisors, were all those that left the PDP for the APC. Are you understanding? They seem to be back in control of the PDP.
So now let's quickly talk about how they can exorcise or appease the ghost of that primaries, and because politically speaking, victory is what every politician sees.
Oh yes, you want to win any election. Like for example, why did I leave the PDP? I left the PDP because I was dissatisfied with a lot of the happenings. For respect for the chairman of the party in Delta, who is a friend of mine, and I don't want to go into details of what would have happened, but I was dissatisfied with the primaries. I thought it was free, but it wasn't fair. A lot of things had happened. I had sacrificed a lot for the party, and I thought it wasn't right for some of us to have been treated the way we were treated. People are different. I couldn't stay in the PDP to try to destroy the PDP. I had to go to tell the PDP that, look, I was done with you.
So when
I wasn't happy with what you have done. I've moved on, and I'm in another party. I have the candidacy of another party. Yes, I'm going through so much trying to sell myself.
Let's talk about the periphery.
Do you understand?
When you talk about treatment, how when a politician is hard done by his party to
when you have so much details in a party, when you're privy to so much details in a party, and you see things in the party, you try to ask yourself, so much funds are expended in primaries. Primaries are always a bane of contention. That is exactly what has happened. That's a ghost you're saying that how can it be appeased? I used myself as a case study because I moved out of the party. But in the case of the G5 governors, they say they're going nowhere. We're going to stay here. We die here. You know, that kind of connotation. Because really, where are they going to go to? Wike has a senatorial candidate, his House of Reps candidate, his governorship candidates are all in the PDP. So where is it going to go to? Makinde is going for a second tenure. Is he going to drop the PDP ticket? That means he's not running for a second tenure. Ogunwa is a senatorial candidate. Autumn is a senatorial candidate. Ikpeaz is a senatorial candidate. Now, where I also find it strange is the boldness with which they have gone on this mission. It shows that there is a reason, because they're putting also their elections at risk, especially the senatorial candidates. Yes, you might think Wike might have not seen much to lose, because for the governorship candidates, I really don't see how anybody can beat Wike in Rivers for the governorship candidate. Makinde is going for a second tenure. He has an uphill task, but maybe he feels his people are behind him. But for the three senatorial candidates, their elections are going to be held the same day. If you're going to work against the party, then you might also be working against yourself. It's true.
And you know. Now the G5, they've gone to the UK, and that's the very latest. And yes, for Governor Wike, he said in January, which is just some days from now,
yes,
he will reveal the presidential candidate he will be supporting.
Yes.
You know, such statements, how does that help a party that is going into a presidential election like the PDP?
It doesn't help at all. That is why I said, to appease the ghost, if I were Atiku, I have said it over and over again, I would have to sacrifice IU. For you to be a unifier, you have to bend backwards to accept some certain things. Yes, it's a big risk sacrificing IU. But if they have said sacrifice IU and we come on board, then we'll watch if they'll come on board. Yes, it's difficult if you move IU. He's a northerner, he's a deputy chairmanship candidate from the north that will take over. That will mean also the secretary of the party will no more be from the south. which is the southeast.
You know, now you're talking about
yes.
Sorry to butt in here. Now you're talking about sacrificing Ayu. Let's look back, and this time within the APC, is that the same as what President Buhari did by sacrificing Oshomole?
Oh, that's exactly
to
what.
That
was what Buhari
some
did.
aggrieved minds
in fact,
within
the
the
funny
APC.
thing I found out, it was what the PDP used to do in those days that the APC is doing. If you notice, the APC have bonded. Yes, Amici might not be visible in most of the political outings because he was a runner-up, but he hasn't said he's out of the party. He still has the structures in Rivers. He's still the one that produced the governorship candidate there. Now, the two people that actually left the APC, which is Dogara and Lawal, and Babachi Lawal, sorry to say, with due apologies, they're not a force in the north to upset the apple cart of the APC.
Both of them?
Yes, both of them. I must tell you, they're not seen as a force to upset the apple cart of the APC. They can't be compared to the G5 governors who are threatening the soul of the PDP. So you must look at it in terms of analysis. Look, all this crowd you see in rallies, it doesn't sum up. 80% of those who don't have voters card, they are hungry. They just want to see what's happening. They want to see what they can get. They want to see when you mobilize them. Those that have the voters card are those group of people you meet in 50s, in 100s, in 200s. Those are the serious people that are going to come out on election day to effect this change. That's why you can see that in 2019, Atiku couldn't come out from the caravan that took him to Kanu. If you remember, he did not come out. The crowd didn't allow him come out. He couldn't step out. The crowd was so much that he couldn't, himself and Obi and others had to speak to the people from the caravan, from the PDP decorated caravan that carried them there. But he barely made 25%. Nobody would have seen that crowd and would imagine that Atiku would not win Kanu. So I don't get moved by this crowd.
We'll come back. We'll talk more about crowds, and we'll also talk pretty much about the APC candidate and the new man in the Labour Party, and also your aspiration within the Accord Party. That's when we come back pretty much later. Join us again. Well, if you just joined us, you're welcome. You're watching Politics HQ here on News Center Television, broadcasting live to 54 African countries and beyond. And we're speaking of the journey of Nigeria into the big moment of 2023, when the country will be going into an election that the incumbent, President Buhari, will not be on the ballot. And of course, that's not the only election. The governorship election and the National Assembly elections are also on the card. But this time, let's welcome Ezekiel Nya-Etuk. Is the African Democratic Congress governorship candidate for Akwa Ibom State in southern Nigeria. Good to see you, and thanks for your time. And quickly, let's start talking about how this is panning out for the ADC. That's a Herculean task, but again, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, we're getting to see conversations that involves quite a number of new political parties. The ADC is one, the Labour Party is another, and of course the NNPP. Give us an update of how your campaign train is moving in Akwa Ibom State at the moment.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, and Merry Christmas to all Nigerians. You see, politics is a strategy game, and you must understand that. And I think with all humility, I see myself as a strategic striker. And I think some days back, the tongue started wagging in Akwa Ibom because they saw what they didn't quite expect. Now, you need to understand the terrain that you operate in. You must understand the terrain, the dynamics of that terrain. You must also understand your own SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats. You must also have a very good understanding of your opponents. I don't want to say your enemies. When you're able to segment all these, then you decide specifically what you want. There are three types of shots. You can shoot to scare, you shoot in the air. You can shoot to maim, you shoot in the leg, you cannot run. But when you aim the forehead or the heart, it shoots to kill. And
so we find these shots in politics.
Oh yes, it's there. some people get into politics just to be heard, you know. They just want to either cause an upset against another person, or so they are stooges sent by others to divide the votes of others. And then others just seem to be heard. It's a very good place for you to, you know, get some level of visibility. But others run to win. Now, when I decide to run, people realize that I don't do appointments in Akwa Ibom. You know, I've never accepted any appointments, never accepted any at all. Secondly, I'm not a contract person. In the 35 years of Akwa Ibom State, you can't trace 5 jobs to my name, you can't. So when I was contesting, people were like, tell us exactly, we are scared, we don't know what you're doing. And I said, let me use the expression, I'm shooting to kill. I want to be the next governor of Akwa Ibom State. And it's only recently that people started saying, wow, what's going on? Let me tell you about the politics of Akwa Ibom. The biggest political bloc in Akwa Ibom State is the church. I'll tell you that, ask anybody. The biggest political bloc in Akwa Ibom is not APC, is not PDP, is not PDP and APC combined. It is singular, you know, the church. And I defined my strength very well, and I headed for it, and I hit it real hard. And just 3 days back, the church came together, what you call AKA, or Akwa Ibom Christian Assembly, you know, came together, and of the 18, you know, candidates, they shortlisted 2. And I'm happy to inform you that yours truly, I was one of the 2 shortlisted. That means that I am a major factor and a major player in the biggest political bloc. Thirdly,
you know, so being a major player, again, sorry to butt in, being a major player, by the way, congratulations, since you said that that means a lot to your aspiration. I'm trying to go with what Ken Okolugbo has said here. He thinks that sometimes the crowd also does not mean victory for the people. We've seen crowds, and at the end of the day, they don't have the ticket to elect their candidate.
Yes,
now, talking about the voter card.
I agree 100% with him. If anybody has told you I don't do rallies, because rallies are just jamborees where you don't hit the heart of the matter. Where we are today, I am the only candidate, and I say it with every sense of responsibility. In fact, somebody came into my office, you know, about a week ago, and he said, architect, they have a new name for you in town. I'm like, what have I done again? He said, they call you submarine, you know? And I'm a strategic striker. I'm not going for ovation. I'm going to win votes. I'm the only candidate, and I say with every sense of responsibility, that has done a village by village campaign. Name any village in Akwa Ibom State, and I will tell you the 4 or 5 problems of that village. Because strategically, I was able on, you know, local government basis, segment it to the ward, and from the ward, get people from every village, where I spend 3 hours in every local government, listening to them one by one with NTA crew, you know? So I'm not looking at the crowd, because like Ken said, my guy Ken, very good friend of mine, like Ken said, it's not about the crowd. It's about the strategic interest of the relevant people. And within this context, the relevant people are the voters. And the church in Akwa Ibom, when I say the church, within their membership, they have going to 700,000 PVC holders, and their target is to get 1 million. As at today, they have close to 700,000 PVC holders that belong to different denominations, different sections, and right now...
and how does this work for the ADC, knowing full well that since 1999, politics in Nigeria, and even in the Second Republic, there are states that are core, perhaps maybe UPN, core NPN, and for your state, Akwa Ibom, in this dispensation, they say it is a PDP state.
I agree, but you see, let me tell you, 2 things happened to PDP in Akwa Ibom, unfortunately. First is the person, not party ideology. It has sunk in. And I want to, at this point, acknowledge Mr. Peter Obi, because that man has caused a major upset in our political equilibrium in the South-South, and particularly Akwa Ibom State. We are extremely religious. So Peter Obi came and really demystified that concept of my party, my party. It is now Esa Sarowo, that's the choose person, you know, that is the ideology that runs Akwa Ibom State. Right now, it is not about the person, but it's not about the party, but about the person. Something else happened. My brother, I will say this again, my brother Basi Albert is in YPP. He completely demystified PDP. He carried a Monday hammer, hit PDP and broke it in pieces. So these two major tsunamis have happened to PDP. So PDP is, as far as I'm concerned, is like a cobra that the head has just been cut off. So it's just making all sort of, you know, gesticulations and body language. And I want to say, if you carry, now they are going to look at 4 people right now. There's Mr. Basi Albert of YPP. He's a force, whether he's in prison or not, that I belong to another party does not mean I will overlook that. There's Aledeh of NNPP. I mean, he's been around, he's a force. There's, of course, PDP, traditionally there, and my brother Umoeno, Pastor Umoeno, and there's Architect Nyetok. These 4 people from January are going to face the people of Akwa Ibom State as individuals. They will look at Basi Albert, his antecedents, everything about him. They will look at Aledeh as an individual, everything about him. They will look at Umoeno, and they will look at Architect Nyetok. Now it is, what are you bringing to the table? I'll tell you a little. Now, okay, that's my brother Akanudofia. Akanudofia belongs to APC, but he's having a major battle in court. And if he wins, beautiful, the court will force him on the ballot. If he doesn't, well, too bad. And virtually all of them, APC, PDP, YPP, all of them have cases. And those cases in court, like man, we go police station, knowing that person will report case, now in the will case, you know, they are all having problems. The only person, only one that has no problem whatsoever with the court, with the law, with the party, whatever, is myself. So at the end of the day, you might just have to find out I'm contesting against myself.
Well, let me bring in Ken here. Ken, you heard Nyayo talk, and he's spoken about some of the dynamics of the coming elections, and
yes.
You're also one of those who's also running. You're now with the Accord Party.
Oh yes.
And time was people speak of structure, and listening to Nyayo talk, he's talking about the people, he's talking about some kind of block votes, he's also talking about, so how is it working for you and your people?
Yes.
Well, that you've always had the PDP behind you. But now...
Okay, that's a very important question.
Yes.
You have asked. He's made a very strong point. The church is a very great voting bloc. But for me, one of the things I'll do, by God's grace, if I win my election, is one of I'll bring into the House of Representatives is a bill for an independent candidacy. The Accord Party gave me a platform, I appreciate it, but I'm having to do a whole lot of work. Luckily for me, I've always had structures. That is the luck I've had. It was as if I was preparing for a time like this. And structures, they do matter. You can't win an election without structures. You can't, for example, my federal constituency, there are 30 wards and over 200 communities. Even with me telling you that I have structures, there's some communities I still don't have any presence. But I know 1 or 2 people that are there, and I'm going to go back there to work. I will not come back here and lie to you that I have presence in every community. But as a political scientist and someone who has been with the people, even when I served as a commissioner, I never stayed in Asaba or Warri. I lived in my village, Ubiaroko, and that's where I still live. So I've mingled with the people. I realized that you must be able to, you can't win everywhere. So I'm just aiming to win about 18. I won't name those words, but
so
about
when you
18
say you've lived with the people, it means
out of 30
it then means the people very important in winning an election.
It's so important. There's a community called Amai. I am from Umuebu. They always have this intercommunal fight. But when I visited Amai, I didn't go with one policeman. I made sure I went alone with I went alone with my supporters. And people usually from Umuebu will not go there. They're scared. But I was there. The king was incidentally was not around, but he called him from London to endorse me exclusively. And they gave me an elaborate reception. That is the thing about when you're connecting with the people. And when you connect with these people, it is important for them to know that, look, this person has my interest at heart. Then the huge advantage I have, which I won't lie, that's where I would appreciate the former governor of Dua. He gave me a platform on which I performed when I was a commissioner. And so that is my selling point. That sells me so much to these people, because almost in every community I have touched lives there. I have done projects there. There you say PDP gave me a bit of an advantage. Well, of course, I also did a lot for PDP because I was their spokesman, and I worked also for the party. Because I know you're going to come from that angle. So I'm helping you before you come from that angle.
I'm not coming from that angle. I'm actually going to Akwa Ibom State so I can ask Inyayotuk if... now, let's speak about the people, because quite frankly, Ken has raised a very important point here, and it has to people, which is another structure, another base that politicians will ultimately latch onto. I'm always excited when I hear politicians talk about the people, specifically about those who have lived amongst the people. Speak to us how this is going for you, governorship in your state, Akwa Ibom State, and the people. How does that resonate with your aspiration?
Thank you. If you ask an average Akwa Ibom person, he will tell you that Architect Yaito contests every year. Why do they say so? But I've effectively contested in 2007, and in 2019 was introduction to 2023. So effectively like twice. But I am on the face of the people every year for the past 20 years. I'm one of the few professionals that lives in Abuja, but I run my office from Uyo. I employ the people. I've done the biggest project in Uyo. I've attracted federal presence to Uyo as an individual, to Akwa Ibom State rather, holding no position whatsoever. Never accepted one position, but you can have my landmarks all over the state. So people are like, wow. Like when I did Shelter Africa, I brought Shelter Africa to your Shelter Africa State. We had over 10,000 people working with over 700 contractors. So everybody that's somebody in Uyo knows me over 20 years back consistently. I'm one of the people that is always constantly in the face of the churches for the past 30 years, constantly in Akwa Ibom State. There is no church leader at the highest level, the fathers, that don't know me one-on-one, and as a result, they can easily say, this is our son, this is our boy. But this is where I stole the show. I worked strictly with heads of villages, the village heads. I went to Oron Nation, 5 local governments, and I brought all the village heads together to a meeting. And I said something that they were dead silent. I told them I will be putting 500,000 naira every month in every village for their development and transformation. It's like, local economy stimulation. One of the old men said, sir, if it was not you saying this, I wouldn't take it serious. But one of the things you've done over the years is to establish yourself as a man with credibility. Please, can you tell us how you want to do that, where you can get such gargantuan amount of money from? And I told them, number one, sir, I removed my shoes, I stood on the ground, I marched the sand. Once you do that, village heads are afraid because they understand what it means. I said, God, if I've brought these people here to lie to them, to deceive them, may I never get to their age, and may you close the door and I never be a governor. You could hear a pin drop. They were like, wow. But I told them, let me make it easy for you. If you take 500,000 naira, multiplied by the number of villages in Akwa Ibom that I know already, 2,226, what you'll get is about 1.1 billion. I said, let me blow your mind. 1.1 billion is about half the governor's security vote. They were like, Tangeko Warina. It's like, please talk to the deaf. It's like, unbelievable. So they realized that, one, it was possible. The money was there. I didn't even need to go to House of Assembly or anything. Security vote. Number two, this is a man that tells the truth. So we believe him. So these people, I'm sorry I'm letting out one of my biggest strategies. I am doing village, real case scenario, personal interest campaign. It's not all this, I'll build roads, I'll do this, I'll give you rice. This whole Christmas, I didn't give anybody a bag of rice. One person, I don't have such money.
So you do not believe in stomach infrastructure?
I believe, no. I believe in giving you, teaching you how to fish. They reap for 4 months and they sow for 4 years. I told them that nonsense has to stop. Sow for 4 months and reap for 4 years. Luckily, they believed me. So they are willing to. I go to places, I give them pure water. I tell them, look, I'm not coming here, no transport, no landing, nothing. All I'll give you is water. And they sit down for 3 hours. And at the end of the day, I give you, maximum I've given anybody to go back is 500 naira. And there's nowhere in 26 local governments, there's nowhere we went, they didn't clap for me as I was leaving, because I've gone to sell them the most expensive commodity in politics, hope. And they know that these guys are deceiving them. Number 2, they know that these guys have stolen their money, so they are bringing back just a fraction of what they've been stealing, but that architect Nyaito brings money from his pocket. In fact, many of them say that the money I give them, they don't even use it. They use it as a point of contact, put it in their pocket, take it to their houses, put it under their pillow, and pray about it and say, Father, the grace on architect Nyaito's life that has been able to remain without appointment and yet relevant and doing well. We want that grace in our. Let
me close with you on your manifesto, because in all of this, perhaps let's see if we can actually quickly list your manifesto, so I can come back to Ken and we can close this on the APC and the Labour candidates. What's your manifesto looking like?
I'll tell you. Number 1 is I am one of the few Nigerians, dead or alive, that has a political ideology. I call it social governance ideology with 7 fundamentals. Fundamental 1 is that social governance is a bottom-to-top approach to governance and development with the primary objective of bringing the citizens out of poverty. So keep that. I could spend the whole day on that. But there are 1, 2, 3 things, what I call my hashtags. Number 1 is that you must change the music. You must go low profile. You must shut down and shut out. It is possible. I mean, change the music is simple. We have become the poverty capital of the world. We are one of the topmost indebted states. We can't do what we were doing before. So what are we going to do? We change the music. We go low profile. We come down, if not, so we won't be able to pay salaries. We shut down and shut out. What do you shut down? All the waste pipes. Why do I need? I don't need a government house, a liaison office in Lagos. I don't need it. I don't need it in Abuja. I don't need private jet. I don't even need what they call government house with all the money spent. I did analysis and showed them. And then what do you shut out? Shut out all the leeches. The presidency is a major leech. They are the people that don't want me to be governor because I have an Akwa Ibom for Akwa Ibom agenda. I want to be able, Madam Okonjo-Iweala said something. She said that as she's talking as a developmental economist, that she's not seeing 20% of the resources of Akwa Ibom in Akwa Ibom state. And that's true. For a state that has spent close to 10 trillion in the past 15 years, you can't see one corporate office in Akwa Ibom. You stand in the city center, you look at all the spines, you got the Benin Road, Abak Road, Akar Road, Wangiba, Willington Bassi. You can't find the presence of the fact that such quantum of money, apart from some infrastructure, you can't just talk of roads and bridges and story buildings, and you can't talk of persons. Our local economy is dead. Our youths are the most unemployed. Doesn't make sense. I've come for an Akwa Ibom agenda, and that is resonating with the people.
All right, I'd like to thank you for your time, Ezekiel Nyaito, African Democratic Congress governorship candidate for Akwa Ibom State. Thanks for speaking with us, and we do hope to see you again here on the HQ in 2023.
No, at my swearing in, please.
All right.
Promise me you.
All right, thank you very much. See you then. So, Ken, quickly, I'm trying to see if we can actually get to gloss over this in the next 3 minutes or so. The APC candidate looks like he's been having a series of town hall meetings and the conversations. And I was going to ask, how easy do you think it will be for an APC, that is the ruling party, and knowing full well that people are still talking about fuel subsidy, people are talking about scarcity, and apart from the infrastructural development, which is a big plus for the administration, they seem to be scoring plus for the administration. They seem to be scoring of the APC.
What infrastructure? I didn't see the infrastructure. You talk of only the Niger Bridge,
roads, bridges.
What roads? In Delta, I can't even travel from Obiaruku to Saple or from Obiaruku to Agbo. I'll be in tears. Fashola completely failed us in Delta State. I must tell you the truth. I can't even pinpoint to one federal project that was commissioned in Delta State in terms of infrastructure. Yes, the Deputy Senate President, I must say, I went to see the Polytechnic that came in from his end, and I was impressed. I saw a whole lot of infrastructure over there. But that is just in one community, so to say. We're talking about the ones that will touch the lives of the Deltans. Like that road, it's a very strategic road. The 8 years of Buhari, I'll tell you that Delta did not have the impact of Buhari. He never visited Delta State, don't forget. He didn't visit Delta State. He played that politics of maybe because the PDP government was in charge. I have condemned the PDP here. I used to be in the PDP, so it's not like I try to be balanced in my focus. When you say infrastructure, I really want you to talk about the infrastructure.
Wasn't the president in Rivers?
Was he in Rivers? Has he ever been to Rivers? He's never been to Rivers State. He's only been to Cross River like twice or 3 times. And he's been there for 8 years. Now, what am I saying here? What I'm saying here is that Bola Tinubu can come on the scorecard of Lagos State because he's brought some very good governors in Lagos State. But Bola Tinubu cannot divert himself from the present hardship that Nigerians are suffering with the APC government. That's one big headache Bola Tinubu has. And he is also not helping himself by avoiding these town hall meetings that he's been invited to by the media houses. You can't dictate the pace to the people. You must have to be interrogated, just like you're interrogating us here. And you see, the governments have all weaponized poverty. I'm shocked that my guy in Akwa Ibom can say that he's giving people 500 and they're happy. People are hungry. I'm campaigning. I'm spending a whole lot of money campaigning. I won't lie to you, not because I'm bribing them, but I have to keep money to them because I see a lot of them hungry. It's just like what Jesus Christ did with the 2 loaves and 3 fishes. He had to multiply them because the people that are listening to the sermon had to come and eat. The truth about it of it all is that the politicians of 2023 era going to the 2023 election have weaponized poverty. And so they're going to use that advantage. They're going to try to buy votes. They've seen that they cannot carry ballot boxes. They've seen that the beavers, which is one of the best things that Buhari has done, I must give that credit to Buhari. Because if not for Buhari, I would not be running. I'm not stupid to be running an election in Delta State. I come from the PDP stock against the PDP, and I hope to win. You must have to be able to find the PDP members who are going to play anti-party for you to win an election in Delta. But now with beavers, I know there's hope for me. That's the only reason I'm running. I know the riverine areas will not bring the votes they used to bring. I'm telling you the truth, because those votes were very heavy. Because human beings do not exist. That they do not exist compared to the registered voters that are produced in all the riverine areas in Nigeria. And that's the absolute truth. We're in Anambra. I was a spokesman of the campaign council. Soludo got only 112,000 votes. This was the same map that I used to win with almost 800,000. The PDP candidate, Valentine Ozigbo, that we're working for, got only 52,000 votes. And you saw Oba, who got 240,000 during primaries of the APC, getting only 41,000 votes. Where did the 200,000 people disappear to? So Beavers has brought all of us to the reality of what we're going to see in February and in March. And so you see what is happening is that the people will now count. We've returned power back to the people. That's what Buhari has done with Beavers.
Well, I'm hoping that we can actually have this conversation again.
Yes, it's always my pleasure.
And stretch it in the new year. Ken Okolugbo, many thanks for speaking with us.
Thank you. It's always my pleasure, Sulaiman Aledeh.
We'll take a moment, and when we come back, we give you a piece to chew on just before we leave. Well, Nigeria's population has grown by more than 100% in almost 40 years. This population explosion has continued to be pressure on the resources of the country. But is Nigeria's population a problem? Yeah, it's a question that needs an answer. Think about it. The world makes us think our population is the issue, but with one of the most excellent resource bases of any country in the world, Nigerians should live in a much better atmosphere. Although politicians have used this population explosion for political gains, including using children as underage voters during elections, the blessings of having a youthful population are great. The corrupt Nigerian politician who doesn't make either the human resource base or the natural resource base an advantage for the everyday Nigerian continues to be the problem. Culturally, Africans love children, and many come from large homes. Now, the world may make us think having a significant population is an issue because we can't feed them, but we can if resources are made to count. What will make a Nigerian or African leader make these blessings count? And when will Africa's strength come through to shine in global discourse? It's all in the hands of our leaders. Something to chew on. I'm Sulaiman. Many thanks for watching.